The stars outside the shuttle window looked calm, but inside Kai's chest, everything felt restless. He had never been this far out in space before. The Violin cluster was a deep space zone, far from Earth or even regular trade routes. Only researchers and explorers came this far. Now, he was part of a human-alien cooperation project called Station Luma 7, a research center floating near a dying star. Kai was an engineer. He wasn't a soldier or a scientist, just a problem solver who fixed broken systems. His job was to assist with tech repairs, updates, and keep the power running. Simple, right? Not when you're paired with a Varelian. The Varelians were tall, graceful, and intelligent. Their skin shimmered in soft colors, like moonlight over water. They didn't smile. They didn't laugh. They spoke directly, and their lives were ruled by logic. Emotions were inefficient, according to their culture. And Kay's assigned partner, Jara, was one of the best minds of her people. She stood waiting when he arrived on the station. Her uniform was white and silver, smooth and spotless. Her eyes were a pale violet, scanning him like he was an old machine. "You are late," she said simply. Kai blinked. "I'm right on time, actually. There is a 0.3-second delay in your approach. Precision is important." He wanted to roll his eyes but smiled instead. "Nice to meet you too." She didn't return the smile. Later, during their orientation, she explained their roles with no warmth. "You are the human engineer. I am the lead scientist for harmonic energy stabilization. Our tasks are aligned but separate. I suggest we avoid unnecessary contact or emotion-based interaction." Kai raised an eyebrow. "Wow, that's one way to say hello." She didn't even look up. "We are not compatible, human, physically, mentally, emotionally. Let's remain efficient." From that moment, Kai knew this assignment would be interesting. Over the next few days, things didn't go smoothly. The station's systems had strange issues. Lights flickered, gravity fields glitched, and the power core made low hums that no one could explain. The Varelians ran tests. Jara buried herself in data. But the more they studied the problems, the worse they got. Kai, meanwhile, trusted his gut. He didn't have fancy scanners or alien tech, but he could feel when something was wrong. The hum in the walls had a rhythm. The lights flickered like code. Something was sending out signals, almost like a heartbeat. "Do you hear it?" he asked Jara one day while they worked in the control chamber. "I hear many things," she said without looking up. "No, I mean this. Pulse. The vibration in the floor, the timing of the energy flickers. It's like it's trying to talk." Jara finally looked at him. Her voice was calm but sharp. "That is not how research works. Feelings are not evidence. Logic leads. Emotion misleads." Kai shrugged. "Maybe. But logic hasn't fixed the station yet." Her eyes narrowed. "This conversation is a waste of time." Despite her coldness, Kai noticed something. Every time they worked together, she paused just a second longer than needed. Her gaze lingered for a moment too long. Her voice softened, only slightly, but it was there. And one night, after another failed test, he caught her looking at his hands. She quickly turned away. The turning point came when the station's artificial gravity failed. 1 second, they were standing. The next, everything floated. Tools, tablets, and chairs spun in slow motion. Alarms blared. Jara reached for the emergency control, but the panel sparked. She hesitated. Her hands shook slightly. Kai didn't think. He moved. He grabbed the side panel, kicked off a rail, and flipped the manual switch hidden inside. Gravity slammed back, and they crashed to the floor. Jara lay on the ground, stunned. "You okay?" Kai asked, holding out a hand. She stared at it, then at him. Her lips parted like she wanted to say something but stopped herself. Kai pulled her up. For a long moment, they just stood there, breathing hard. "Your instincts are strange," she finally whispered. Strange good or strange bad? She didn't answer. That night, as Kai sat alone in the mechanical bay, fixing a damaged circuit board, he thought about her words. We are not compatible. Maybe she was right. She was all logic and control. He was heart and gut feeling. She calculated everything. He trusted what he felt. They were opposites in almost every way. But still, something was happening between them. Something neither of them could explain. And deep down, Kai had a feeling. This story wasn't over yet. Days passed on Station Luma 7, and things didn't return to normal. Even after Kai restored gravity and fixed the power links, the strange pulses continued. They weren't random. The flickering lights, the vibrations through the floor, and the strange patterns in the air vents all had a rhythm. Like a message hidden in a heartbeat. Kai noticed it every day now. He brought it up to Zara again during their early shift. She was studying a glowing screen filled with moving symbols. Her long fingers tapped across the console, calm and precise. You still think it's nothing? Kai asked, leaning against the wall. Zara didn't look up. If it were something, I would already understand it. Kai chuckled lightly. That's what you always say. But you haven't solved it either, have you? She finally turned to him, her violet eyes narrowed. Your tone suggests arrogance. No, just a little human confidence. Zara stared at him for a second, then turned back to her screen. Your kind relies too much on emotion. That is your weakness. Kai smiled. Maybe. But sometimes emotion sees what logic doesn't. Zara paused, just for a moment. Something about the way he said that. It stayed with her. That afternoon, Zara ran another set of tests. She connected her neural band to the energy system and tried to isolate the signal pattern. As the code ran, the pulse returned, stronger this time. Zara's hand trembled. That wasn't supposed to happen. Her people trained for total mental control, but this pulse was affecting her. It made her heart beat faster. It made her feel uncertain. She pulled off the neural band quickly and stood up, trying to breathe slowly. Was it the signal, or was it something else? She looked through the glass at the lower deck. Kai was sitting on the floor, fixing a maintenance bot with simple tools. No screen, no neural link, just his hands and mind. His shirt was dusty, his fingers greasy, but his face was calm, focused. She tilted her head slightly. Why was he unaffected? That night, during sleep cycle, a station-wide alarm suddenly blared. Warning. Containment field unstable. Core chamber at risk. Zara rushed to the chamber. So did Kai. Inside, energy flickered along the walls. The pulse had grown stronger, louder. The temperature was rising. Cracks appeared in the energy core shell. Zara scanned the system. The field is weakening faster than expected. It should have held for another 5 weeks. Kai stood beside her, reading the red lights on the panel. Can we shut it down? No. It's tied into the station's life support. If it shuts down, oxygen fails. He looked at the core. The pulse again. It wasn't just light and sound anymore. He felt it in his bones. A rhythm, steady and alive. Suddenly, he looked at Zara. What if it's not breaking down? What do you mean? What if it's reacting to something? She frowned. That's not scientific. Neither is a heartbeat in a machine. Zara turned to the console again. Her logic told her Kai was guessing. But her instincts, long buried under years of control, whispered that he might be right. She looked at him. You stay here. If anything changes, alert me. I need to run comparisons between your biosignature and the core's pulse. My biosignature. Yes. You're immune to the side effects. I am not. This may be connected. Kai nodded, but before she left, he said softly, You don't need to do this alone, you know. Zara didn't reply. But the door closed more slowly behind her this time. Back in her lab, Zara connected to the main system again. She input Kai's medical data. heart rate, energy output, emotional waves. She matched it with the pulse of the station. Then she froze. They were sensing. The wave from the core moved in time with Kay's heartbeat. It rose and fell as he breathed. And the strongest alignment happened during moments when he was close to her. She leaned back in her chair, eyes wide. This didn't make sense. But the results were clear. Later, when Jara returned to the chamber, she stood beside Kai in silence. They both looked at the glowing core together. "I was wrong," she finally said, almost whispering. Kai glanced at her. "About what?" "Your kind. You are not as disconnected from energy as we thought. There is a resonance between you and the core. A natural bond. It may explain why the station reacts to you." Kai raised an eyebrow. "So you're saying I have energy magic?" Jarva's lips twitched, a very small, almost invisible smile. "Not magic, but something rare, something we do not understand yet." He nodded. "Guess that makes us a team then." She looked at him again, really looked. Maybe, just maybe, they were more compatible than she thought. Sarah didn't sleep that night. Her mind kept replaying the test results over and over. Every time she compared the pulse of the station's core with Kai's biological readings, it showed perfect sync. His heartbeat matched the rhythm of the energy waves. His presence calmed the spikes in the signal. Even his emotions, when stable, seemed to influence the core. It shouldn't be possible. Her people believed humans were chaotic, driven by feelings and irrational choices. But now, the very core of their advanced technology was responding to a human, and only to him. She walked into the lab in silence the next morning. Kai was already there, adjusting the flow regulator with a wrench. "Morning," he said casually, not looking up. Jara didn't answer. Instead, she walked straight to him and stared. Kai paused and looked up, confused. "Something wrong." "I ran another test, and another, and again," she said slowly. "Your presence stabilizes the pulse. Without you, the energy becomes wild. With you nearby, it calms down." Kai blinked. "So I'm a walking battery now." She didn't smile, but her voice softened just slightly. "You are not a battery. You are a regulator, a natural one." He shrugged. "I just listen to my gut. Maybe the station likes my rhythm." Zara tilted her head. "Your rhythm affects me too." There was a pause. "What do you mean?" he asked, serious now. "I've never felt imbalance before. My emotions are always under control, but when I'm around you, something changes. My body responds. My thoughts lose precision." Kai tried not to grin. "So you're saying I throw you off balance?" Zara gave him a sharp look, but her eyes didn't hold the same coldness anymore. Later that day, a power outage hit the lower deck. Jara and Kai were ordered to investigate together. As they moved through the dim corridor, emergency lights blinked above them like stars. Kai carried a small light, and Jara carried her handheld scanner. "This area feels different," Kai said, slowing his steps. Jara nodded. "Energy levels are low. The pulse is weak here. Maybe it doesn't like this part of the station. Or maybe—" Jara stopped. She turned to him. "Maybe it doesn't like being alone." Kai raised an eyebrow. "You think it's alive. I think it reacts to connection, just like people do." That thought lingered in the air between them as they reached the control panel. Jara opened the scanner and began running diagnostics. Kai sat on the edge of a crate nearby and watched her silently. Her hands moved fast and confident, but her face looked different now, more open, less guarded. "You're not the same as when I arrived," he said softly. Jara didn't look up. "Neither are you." They both fell quiet again. Then the system made a strange sound. A new wave came, stronger than before. Jara suddenly gasped and grabbed her head. "It's too much. My thoughts. It's too loud." Kai stood up fast. "Jara." She dropped to her knees, eyes shut, breathing heavy. Her body trembled, and her scanner slipped from her hand. Without thinking, Kai rushed to her side and placed his hands on her shoulders. "Jara, breathe. Focus on my voice." She gritted her teeth. "It's in my head. Too much noise. My mind isn't made for this." Kai leaned closer, his voice calm. "Then use mine. Let me help you." Jara opened her eyes slowly. They shimmered. And then something strange happened. The energy around them flickered and faded, just like that. The air felt lighter. The pressure dropped. Jara's breathing slowed. Her body relaxed. The tremble stopped. "You stopped it," she whispered. Kai nodded slowly. "No, we did." They sat there for a while, neither speaking. Then Jara broke the silence. "When I was a child, I believed emotions were a flaw. We were taught to hide them, to erase them. Now I think, maybe we were wrong." Kai smiled. "Sometimes what makes us human isn't a weakness, it's what connects us." Jara looked at him, really looked at him. Her hand gently touched the edge of his shirt, brushing against his chest without thinking. "I still believe we are not compatible," she said quietly. Kai's face fell a little. "Right. But maybe compatibility is not just numbers or simulations." He looked at her. "What then?" Jara's eyes glowed slightly as she spoke. "Maybe it's something you feel. Here." She placed her hand right over his heart. Kai didn't move. And in that moment, both of them felt something change. Not in the station, not in the core, but in themselves. The atmosphere inside Station Luma 7 had changed. Not just the energy waves or the flickering lights, but something deeper. Jara wasn't the same anymore. She walked slower, breathed deeper, and sometimes, when she thought no one was watching, she looked at Kai like he was the puzzle she never knew she wanted to solve. Kai noticed too. The cold way she used to speak was gone. Her voice now had warmth. Not too much, but enough to show that the wall between them was cracking. And yet, she kept her distance. One evening, Kai sat in the old cargo room, fixing a damaged drone. The space was quiet except for the hum of nearby machines. That's when Jara walked in, holding a small device in her hand. Without a word, she placed it on the table. Kai looked at it. "What's that?" Jara's eyes were calm but focused. "A translator. For feelings." Kai blinked. "Feelings? You mean like emotions?" "Yes," she said. "It measures the bio-emotional waves from the body and compares them to recorded patterns." Kai smiled. "You built a machine to read feelings. I built it to understand why your presence affects me." The room went quiet. Kai sat still, waiting. Jara stepped closer. "I ran simulations. I compared human and Virelian biology. Every result said the same thing. We're not compatible. Not for emotion, not for connection, not even for long-term interaction." Kai's smile faded. "That's what you've been thinking this whole time." Jara nodded. "Yes, but those are just numbers. Data. Logic." Kai looked into her eyes. "Then why are you still here?" Jara hesitated. Her fingers curled into a fist. "Because something inside me doesn't agree with the data, and it's tearing me apart." Suddenly, the pulse returned, stronger than ever. The walls vibrated, and the lights flickered wildly. The whole room shook. Jara grabbed her head and stumbled backward. "Not again." Kai jumped up and reached out, but she stopped him. "Don't come closer. It reacts to both of us." But he ignored her warning. He stepped forward anyway. "Jara, look at me. You're not alone in this." She shook her head, breathing hard. "You don't understand. My mind, my body, they're fighting each other. I was taught to block emotion, to erase desire. But around you," she looked up, her eyes shining, "I can't control it." And then, in a sudden burst of emotion, Jara reached out and grabbed Kai by the collar. In one swift motion, she pulled, ripping his shirt halfway open. Kai froze. Jera's eyes locked on his chest. There, underneath the torn fabric, was a small patch of silver skin, a medical device he didn't even know was active. "What is that?" he asked, confused. Jera's hands trembled. "It's a resonance tag. It was implanted when you arrived. I didn't know it was still functional." She pulled out her scanner and waved it over the patch. A soft tone played. On the screen, 2 waves appeared, Kai's and the energy cores. They were still sensing, still dancing together. "No," Jera whispered. "The compatibility wasn't wrong. The measurement tools were wrong. Our systems can't read natural emotional links, but your body creates one." Kai slowly touched the patch. "So, this whole time, it wasn't that we weren't compatible." Jera nodded. "It was that you were something we couldn't understand." For a moment, neither of them moved. The room had calmed again. The pulse faded. The air was still. Kai stepped forward and gently touched Jera's arm. "You don't have to fight yourself anymore." Jera looked up at him. Her voice cracked for the first time. "I'm afraid." "Of me?" "No," she whispered. "Of feeling something real and not being able to go back." Kai nodded slowly. "Then don't go back. Let's figure it out, together." Later that night, Jera sat alone in her quarters, staring out at the stars. Her heart beat slowly, but not with fear. It beat with something new. And though her training had always told her to avoid emotion, she realized something. Maybe compatibility wasn't about what made 2 people alike. Maybe it was about how they filled each other's missing parts. The station was quieter than usual, too quiet. Jera and Kai sat across from each other in the control room. The faint hum of the station's systems filled the air, but something was different. They both felt it. For the past few days, the strange energy pulses had been growing stronger. What started as flickering lights and faint vibrations had turned into full system shutdowns. And now it was spreading beyond the station walls. "The pulse isn't just in the core anymore," Jera said, her voice low and calm. "It's moving into the surrounding atmosphere." Kai leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. "What does that mean?" "It means," she paused, "whatever is causing this, it's alive." Kai frowned. "Alive? You think it's a life form?" Jera nodded slowly. "Not in the way we understand life. But it's adapting. It's learning. And it's reacting to us." Kai leaned forward, resting his elbows on the console. "Reacting how?" Jera hesitated, then met his gaze. "It's drawn to you." He blinked. "To me." "Yes, the resonance between your body and the station's core. What we thought was an anomaly, it's actually a connection. And now the pulse is following that connection." Kai thought about it. It wasn't the first time he'd felt something off. Like the station was watching him, waiting. And now it was starting to make sense. "What do we do?" he asked finally. Jera's hands rested on the console. For the first time, she looked uncertain. "We have to find the source of the pulse. And we have to find it soon. If we don't, the station could destabilize completely." Kai nodded. "Let's get to work." They started by tracing the energy patterns. Jera worked the scanners, her fingers flying across the keys. Kai stood by her side, watching the screens light up with graphs and waves. "There," Jera pointed. "A spike in Sector C12. The pulse is strongest there." "Sector C12. Kai rubbed his chin. "That's the old observation deck, right? It's been closed off for years." Jera nodded. "But it's where the energy is focused. We need to go there." They grabbed their tools and made their way down the station's long, dim corridors. The air felt heavy, like the station itself was holding its breath. As they walked, Jera glanced at Kai out of the corner of her eye. He moved with a confidence she had never seen in anyone before. It wasn't just his physical presence, it was the way he approached every problem. Calm, steady, unshaken. She realized that it was this balance, this unyielding strength, that had thrown her off so completely. They'd reached Sector C-12. The doors were sealed, the lights dim. "This is it," Jera said, pulling out her scanner. "The pulse is coming from behind these doors." Kai stepped forward. "Any idea what's in there?" She shook her head. "No. The records don't show any active systems in this section. It's supposed to be shut down." "Well," Kai said, gripping the manual release handle, "let's find out." The doors creaked open slowly, revealing a vast, empty chamber. The walls were lined with old observation equipment, long since powered down. But in the center of the room stood something unexpected. It was a glowing sphere suspended in the air. The sphere pulsed gently, its light shifting from blue to green to white. Waves of energy radiated from it, filling the room with a soft, rhythmic hum. Jera's eyes widened. "That's it. That's the source." Kai took a step closer. "What is it?" "I don't know. It's not Virelian technology. It's not human either." They approached cautiously. Jera's scanner beeped rapidly. "It's sending out a signal," she said. "A frequency that matches the station's core. And it's resonating with you." Kai stared at the sphere, feeling its rhythm in his chest. It wasn't just a sound or a vibration. It was a presence, a living pulse that matched his own. "What happens if we shut it down?" Kai asked. Jera frowned. "I don't think we can. If this is what's keeping the core stable, shutting it down could destroy the station." Kai glanced at her. "Then what do we do?" Jera didn't answer. She looked at the sphere, then at Kai. Her voice softened. "We need to understand it, and we need to understand why it chose you." The glow from the sphere filled the observation chamber, casting soft, shifting light on Kai and Jera's faces. The rhythm of the pulse was steady now, almost comforting, but there was no denying the weight of the situation. Jera crouched by the scanner, her fingers trembling slightly as she tried to interpret the data. Every time she thought she understood what the sphere was doing, the readings would shift. It defied her logic. "This shouldn't be possible," she whispered, half to herself. "The energy patterns, there's no pattern at all. It's just pure resonance." Kai stood a few feet away, watching the sphere carefully. He felt the steady beat in his chest, a calm but powerful rhythm that mirrored his own. He wasn't a scientist or an engineer, but he knew one thing for sure. The sphere was trying to communicate. "What if it's not a machine?" Kai asked suddenly. Jera looked up. "What do you mean?" "What if it's alive? Like really alive, not just some kind of energy source?" Jera frowned. "It doesn't match any known life forms. It doesn't have a body, or cells, or a nervous system. It's just light and sound." Kai walked closer to her, crouching so their eyes were level. "You told me before that it reacts to me, that it resonates with my body. So maybe it's not about cells or systems. Maybe it's about connection, emotion, intention." Jera's gaze softened. She hated to admit it, but Kai's words made sense in a way her data couldn't. Everything about this sphere defied the rules her people lived by. It responded not to logic or calculation, but to something deeper, something more human. As they stared at the sphere, a sudden surge of energy rippled through the room. The walls vibrated, and the hum grew louder. The sphere's colors shifted rapidly, flickering through shades of blue, green, and gold. Jera grabbed the scanner tightly. "It's changing. The signal is becoming more complex." Kai stepped forward instinctively, holding out his hand. The light grew brighter as he approached, but the pulse felt calmer, more focused. The sphere seemed to respond to his presence, like it was waiting for him to do something. "What are you doing?" Jera asked, her voice edged with concern. "I don't know," Kai admitted, "but I feel like it's trying to tell me something." The room went quiet, except for the low hum of the sphere. Kai closed his eyes, concentrating on the rhythm. It wasn't just random sound. It was a pattern, a message, almost like a song. Suddenly, he spoke. It's not just energy. It's memory. It's trying to show us something. Jara's eyes widened. Memory? Whose memory? I don't know, Kai said, but it's not mine. It feels old, like it's been here long before we arrived. Jara stood, her logical mind racing to catch up. If it's memory, then maybe it's not just a power source. Maybe it's a recorder, a keeper of knowledge. That could explain why it's resonating with you. Your biology might be compatible with its data format. Kai chuckled softly. So you're saying I'm an interstellar USB drive? Jara's lips twitched into a faint smile. Something like that. She turned back to the sphere, her analytical nature kicking in. If we can understand its message, we might find a way to stabilize the station. But the connection will have to be direct. You'll have to interact with it fully. Kai nodded. How? Touch it, Jara said quietly. He hesitated. What if it fries me? I'll monitor your vitals, Jara said. If there's any sign of danger, I'll pull you back. But we need to know what it's trying to say. And you're the only one it responds to. Kai took a deep breath, stepping closer to the sphere. The light grew brighter, and the hum deepened, vibrating in his chest. He reached out slowly, his hand hovering just inches from the glowing surface. Here goes nothing, he said, and placed his palm against the sphere. For a moment, there was nothing. Then, a wave of images and sensations hit him all at once. Flashes of alien landscapes, unfamiliar star patterns, and countless faces, some human, some not, flooded his mind. He felt emotions that weren't his own. Joy, sadness, loss, hope. He gasped, pulling back, but Jara was at his side in an instant, steadying him. What happened? She asked, her voice tense. Kai took a shaky breath. It's a history. It's show. Aim me what happened here. I saw the builders of this station. They weren't Virelian. They weren't human. They were something else. Jara's eyes narrowed. What else? I don't know, Kai said. But they left this behind. It's like a message in a bottle. And we just opened it. The sphere's light dimmed slightly, as if it had given all it could for now. The room felt still again, but the weight of what they had discovered was heavier than ever. Jara looked at Kai, her gaze steady. If this memory can help us stabilize the station, we need to access it fully. You may have to go deeper. Kai nodded, determination in his eyes. If it's the only way to save this place, I'll do it. They stood together, facing the sphere. For the first time, Jara reached out and placed her hand on Kai's shoulder. We'll figure this out, she said softly. And in that moment, something shifted, not just in the room, but between them. For the first time, they truly felt like a team. Kai's hand still tingled from the sphere's touch. It wasn't just a physical sensation. It was something deeper, something that resonated in his mind and chest. The images, the memories, the overwhelming rush of emotions, they were still fresh. He could almost hear the voices of those long-gone builders, whispering just out of reach. Jara stood beside him, her scanner clutched tightly in her hands. Her violet eyes were sharper now, focused, and for once, she looked at Kai not as an anomaly, but as an equal. What did you see? She asked. Kai took a deep breath. I saw them. The ones who built this place. They weren't like us. Not human, not Virelian, not anything I can describe. But they left something behind. This sphere. It's not just a power source or a memory bank. It's a bridge. Jara tilted her head. A bridge. Yeah, Kai said. It connects them to us. Or at least, it tries to. It's like they wanted someone to find it. Someone who could understand what they left behind. Jara frowned. Why would they care? They're gone. Maybe, Kai said, but maybe they wanted their story to live on. Or maybe they left it as a warning. I don't know, but I do know one thing. Jara leaned closer. What? It's not working right. The message isn't complete. It's stuck. Kai and Jera spent hours studying the sphere. Every time Kai approached it, the glow would brighten, the hum would deepen, and Jera's scanners would light up with activity. But no matter how much they analyzed, they couldn't fully unlock the sphere's secrets. It's like the connection is there, Jera said, pacing, but something's blocking it. Something's missing. Kai leaned against the console, staring at the sphere. What about me? You said I'm connected to it. Maybe I can do something. Jera stopped pacing. She looked at him carefully. You think it's about you. Your emotions, your thoughts. I don't know, Kai admitted, but it feels like it's trying to talk to me. Maybe I just need to listen differently. Jera hesitated. Her people had always trusted logic and data. This idea of listening without a clear method, it felt dangerous, unpredictable. And yet, she had seen Kai's instincts work before. Maybe this was one of those times. Fine, she said, but we do this carefully. If you sense anything wrong, we stop. Kai nodded. Deal. As they prepared, Jera couldn't help but notice the change in herself. She no longer felt the need to maintain emotional distance from Kai. In fact, she found herself drawn to his calm, steady nature. The very qualities she once dismissed as illogical were now the ones that grounded her. She stepped closer, placing a hand on his shoulder. Are you ready? Kai looked at her and smiled. I think so. The sphere's glow intensified as Kai reached out once more. His fingers brushed the surface, and immediately the hum turned into a low, steady vibration. Jera's scanners beaked wildly. Kai's eyes widened. It's showing me something new. What is it? Jera asked, her voice tight. Kai took a deep breath. It's like a map, a path. It's leading somewhere. Jera frowned. Where? Kai closed his eyes, focusing on the rhythm. I think it's showing the original source of the energy. The place where all of this began, if we can find it. Before he could finish, the sphere's glow faded slightly. The hum grew softer. Kai pulled his hand back. What happened? Jera asked. Kai shook his head. I don't know. It stopped. Maybe I'm not doing something right. Jera studied the sphere. It might need more than just your connection. It might need both of us. Both of us? Kai asked. Jera nodded. Your presence unlocks it, but maybe it's not enough. The builders of this place might have designed it to respond to multiple minds, multiple emotions. If I connect with it, together with you, we might complete the link. Kai raised an eyebrow. You think you can do that? Jera's expression softened. I don't know, but I'm willing to try. They stood side by side in front of the sphere. Kai placed his hand on it first, feeling the familiar hum. Jera hesitated, then slowly reached out and placed her hand beside his. The effect was immediate. The glow surged, filling the room with golden light. The hum grew louder, more resonant. And then, as if triggered by their combined presence, the sphere began to pulse faster, the colors shifting in rapid succession. Kai felt the connection grow stronger. This time, the images were clearer, the emotions sharper. He could feel Jera's presence in the connection, her logical mind blending with his instinctive one. I see it, Jera whispered, her voice trembling. I see the path. Kai nodded. So do I. For a brief moment, they were linked, not just to the sphere, but to each other. It was a connection beyond logic, beyond explanation. It was trust, understanding, and something deeper that neither of them could put into words. The sphere's glow dimmed slightly as the vision faded, but the connection between Kai and Jera remained. They looked at each other, breathless. We found it, Kai said quietly. We know where to go now. Jera nodded, her voice steady. Then we have to follow it. Together.